Thank you for listening to SPN, the Savage Podcasting Network.
You're listening to The Stephen Savage Show on the Savage Podcasting Network. And now, here's your host, film and television director, Stephen Savage.
Thank you, Nicole. How you doing, everyone? Savage here with you for yet another episode of The Stephen Savage Show, the official podcast of the Idlewild International Festival of Cinema, coming to you as usual from Cranium Wheel Studios at Chateau Esteban in the beautiful Alpine village of Idlewild, California, just 2 hours east of Los Angeles, but a world away at nearly 6,000 feet. High atop majestic Mount San Jacinto and overlooking the great Coachella Valley. And just a heads up as to who will be coming onto the show in the coming year. Oscar and Golden Globe nominee Ann Archer will be returning to the podcast in early September, as will my great friend, actress and activist, and the voice and model for Disney's Pocahontas will be on here to talk about her career and her new Netflix series, American Primeval. The great TV director Michael Goy will be coming in to talk about his directing and cinematography work on such series as Glee, American Horror Story, and The Rookie. And we'll see the return of my amazing friend of 20 years, Scottish writer and producer Leslie Patterson, to talk about her newest film project, hot on the heels of her Oscar and BAFTA-winning movie, All Quiet on the Western Front. And I'm going to try to fit as much of that in as possible before I have to take a hiatus from the podcast to move into production on my newest feature film, Monkey Grip. Now, before I introduce our studio guest for today, let's take a moment to give a shout-out to our local Idlewild sponsors who display such strong support for the Idlewild Film Festival each and every year. As you know, the Idlewild Festival is not corporate-sponsored, but completely independent in both content and execution. And we're happy to be talking about the main lodging sponsor, the Talk Eats Pines Retreat Center, an amazing facility for weekend stays, romantic getaways, conferences, weddings, family reunions, and just about any gathering you can think of, both large and small. Faro Restaurant, the best Italian food in Idlewild and anywhere else on the planet for that matter, with your hosts Frank and Lori Faro, festival sponsors from year one. Faro, it's Italian elevated. And to our home base, the Rustic Theater and Entertainment Center, Idlewild's historic first-run movie theater, hosted by owners Gail and Graham Sutherland, the Rustic Theater. The official screening venue of the Idlewild International Festival of Cinema, which is celebrating 17 years of indie filmmaking excellence. I'm really proud of this little festival. It's come a long way. Okay, let's get the show on the road. My guest here in studio at Cranium Wheel is a man who's he's been a mainstay in popular music since the 60s, writing, performing, producing, and enjoying close friendships with such iconic rock legends as the list goes on and on. Jimi Hendrix, Ringo Starr, Harry Nilsson, Linda Ronstadt, the Monkees. Really too many to list here in this intro. He was the keyboardist for the legendary pop rock band The Turtles, and I believe he did a stint as the musical director for the Grammy Awards. I'll find out about that in a minute. And he was the host of his own podcast, Tales of the Road Warrior, and he's here to talk about his life and career and introduce us to his book, The Most Famous Musician You Never Heard Of. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Cahan. Andy, thanks for coming in, man.
Oh, man, thank you so much for having me. This is great. I love your place here. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks, man. It's a treat having you here. It really is.
You're welcome.
You're living down in the Palm Springs area, if I'm not wrong. I'd imagine this cool mountain air is a nice respite right about now.
I love Idlewild. It's absolutely gorgeous and beautiful and peaceful. It's great serenity.
It's great. It's really an honor to have you here, man. I'd like to kick off our interviews by asking you sort of run down for my listeners your career origins, your childhood, your education, how you first found yourself getting into the music biz. And I know you cover all of this in your book, The Most Famous Musician You Never Heard Of. So we'll talk about that in depth as well. But give us some of your early life stats, if you will.
Well, I loved monster movies, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, Revenge from Planet 4, all these great movies. And I loved classical music. So
right.
I used to get up in front of my parents in the living room and pretend I was the conductor for De Meistersinger or Flying Dutchman Overture or The Rite of Spring or
that's great.
New World Symphony, all these great symphonies. But then, of course, like everybody else on the planet Earth, on February 9th, 1964, the Beatles hit Ed Sullivan.
Right.
And that was it for me. That was it right there.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a Beatle immediately. As a matter of fact, I had curly hair, and I wanted straight hair.
Right.
So I got on my bicycle, and I drove down to the pharmacy, and I bought Perma-Straight. And I straightened my hair, and it looked really, really good for about 10 minutes.
Right.
Then it frizzed up again.
Oh, man.
But anyhow, yeah, the Beatles are the reason I am pursuing music.
Yeah. Well,
Ringo was my teacher for drumming. My cousin gave me a drum set.
Right.
So I'd listen to the first Beatle album and just play along. And that's how I learned how to play the drums.
Did you tell Ringo that when you met him later?
No, I was really cool with Ringo. I didn't want to bug him. I didn't want to get on his case.
Different than me, I would have been all over that.
Oh man.
I worked with Jack Green, who's Clint Eastwood's cinematographer, and I followed him around like a puppy dog. He said, "Hey, Savage, let's talk about your movie," instead of talking about Unforgiven all day.
Oh man!
But I can imagine. Well, the Turtles were an iconic band back in the '60s and '70s. Was your stint with Flo and Eddie? Was that the breakout moment in your career, or that must have led to a lot of connections, right? But what was happening before that?
Well, before that, I was with Jimmy Carl Black. Mm-hmm. He was with Frank Zappa. He was the Indian of the group,
right,
with the Mothers. And Jimmy and I started a band called Geronimo Black with Bunk Gardner and Roy Estrada and Ray Collins, the original Mothers of Invention.
Right.
And so we signed with Uni Records and we got buried. Mm-hmm. But it was a record deal. Our management got $50,000 for signing, and each member of the band got $1,200 for signing. That was our big record deal.
Right. Well, you take what you can get. That wasn't all that bad of money, I guess, back then, but it wasn't great either.
Yeah, in '72, $1,200 was pretty good, but not as good as $50,000.
Right. People have been getting screwed by the music industry forever.
Man.
And now everybody thought with the internet, there's no more music companies, so we'll just all sell our own stuff through Spotify and Apple Music. And now they're getting screwed by those companies as well. So.
Oh, yeah, the percentage rate is like 0.0008 per song.
Right.
So you have to stream 1 million songs to get $8,000.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's absolutely insane. It is.
Yeah, well, I'd like to just kind of start talking about your book a little bit because it's really interesting.
Thank you.
I think to me, it's not often you meet people who are not, as you admit yourself in interviews, that you're not a household name, but you have been, it seems like you've been everywhere at the right moment, the right time.
It's unbelievable. I mean, 1 week after I moved from New York to Los Angeles, I got a job working at Pulsar Records. It was a subsidiary of Mercury Records.
Right.
My mom's close friend, Irwin Garr, who used to be at ABC Dunhill, now owned his own record company. And the artists on the label were Dr. John the Night Tripper, Graham Bond from England, with the Graham Bond Organization Blues, with Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce before Clapton.
Yeah, right.
So I was the gopher. I Xerox photos, driving the musicians to the recording sessions.
Right.
So Graham calls me up. He says, "We got a jam session. Bring your harpsichord." I had a Baldwin electric harpsichord going through a Leslie speaker.
Wow.
It was the most psychedelic sound you ever heard. So I'm setting up the harpsichord at the session.
Right.
Mitch Mitchell is on the drums. Lowell George is on the flute. Jack Cassidy on the bass. Graham Bond on the Hammond B3. And I'm sitting up the harpsichord, and I feel something, and I look behind me, and in walks Jimi Hendrix with two blonde chicks, one carrying his amp and one carrying his guitar. And he sets up right next to me.
Wow.
So he plugs in, I tune him up, give him an A, and he starts playing the blues in A, and it lasted 2 hours. And it was the most psychedelic, goosebumpy session I ever had in my life. It was incredible.
How many of those moments have you had? There must be quite a few. I was reading something about you, just kind of a jam session where you picked up a guitar at Ringo's house, and Harry Nilsson was there, and you just started jamming, and before you know it, you and Ringo and Harry Nilsson are writing songs. What was that all about?
I met Harry through the Turtles at a radio show, and Harry and I really became close buddies, like high school buddies, driving around at 4 o'clock in the morning and singing all of his songs at full tilt.
Right.
So he brought Ringo over to my house, and we recorded some children's stories.
Oh, great.
On a 4-track cassette, Fostex.
Right.
So Ringo says, okay, so we went over to Ringo's house, and he had 2 acoustic guitars by his couch, a blue one and a red one with the Ringo Starr inlay in the fretboard.
Oh, right,
stars.
Yeah, right.
So I said, do you mind if I play your guitar? He said, oh, go right ahead. So I pick up the guitar and I start strumming in G, right? Ding, jang, ding, ka-jang, ka-ding. And Harry starts singing in his baritone voice.
Right.
Because he lost his voice with John Lennon doing Pussycats.
Right. Yeah.
With the primal scream.
Right.
He did it, and he screwed up his entire high end.
Right.
So he couldn't sing high anymore. So he's singing, I listen for your footsteps coming up the drive.
Right.
And and then Ringo starts to sing along with him, but Ringo's singing in the key of C, which is the original key.
Yeah.
So it was like fifths. So they're both singing and I'm strumming. So that was like total amazement to be with Ringo and Harry and playing guitar and singing.
There have been a lot of opportunities in your life to do some cool stuff musically. That's got to be, you got to look back on that with some amazement.
It is totally amazement. I'll just tell you one story about Ringo that's really wonderful. 1968, I'm sitting in my little Hollywood place, and I'm daydreaming about a Beatle being in my house. And I'm dreaming this, and that he sat next to me and he took his shoes off.
Right.
So later in 1992, Harry Nilsson brings Ringo over to my living room. He sits right next to me and he takes his shoes off.
Wow.
So that premonition actually came true. It was goosebumps.
That's
it was
awesome.
Amazing.
Man. That's very cool.
Yeah.
But did you notice a big difference? Because a lot of people talk about that kind of hippie vibe that was going through the music industry and that Laurel Canyon area and that California sound stuff developing, the East Coast, and then everything happening in London. And then there was a kind of a shift in the 70s where it became more about aggression. And, did you notice that shift as someone involved in the industry?
Every small town has that one special spot, a place where strangers become friends and friends share great times together. Idlewild, California has just that spot, Terrence Place Pub and Gallery, where live music and good company create amazing memories. We feature fine wines along with international and domestic tap beers. Our vibe is welcoming, fun, and eclectic. Terrence Place Pub and Gallery is proud to be an official sponsor of the Idlewild International Festival of Cinema. Come and experience the alpine charm of Terrence Place, located in the Village Lane in downtown Idlewild, California. We invite you to stop by and have a great time.
Idlewild isn't just a scenic mountain town, it's a living gallery. The Art Alliance of Idlewild supports local artists, funds youth art programs, and hosts world-class events that turn our town into an art lover's destination. Become a member, attend an event, or donate to support the arts. Follow us on Instagram at Art Alliance of Idlewild, or visit artinidlewild.org and be part of our creative community.
Yes, with Flo and Eddie and the Turtles in the 70s, we were following the trend.
Yeah, but I mean, it just seems like there was just an absolute change in if you think about it, the Beatles were still doing Beatle music, Love Me Do, in 64, 65, even going into 66, they started getting, but then all of a sudden 67, there was like this cutoff. Music just became a different thing.
It did.
And I'm wondering, somebody who was involved in that, what it felt like to you. Did you notice there was a change going on in the music vibe?
Absolutely. The Beatles really changed everything.
Sure,
and
yeah.
everybody wanted to be a Beatle, and everybody wore suits and did the whole thing. But the whole British invasion, I fell madly in love with the British invasion.
Right.
All the Beau Brummels and the Kinks and the Zombies
and all that Mersey
Dave
beat
Clark
sound.
5 and
Yeah.
Petula Clark and all that.
It was just, there was a vibe to that music that
it was really, really memorable songs. That you can sing along to.
Yeah.
Today I have a deep problem trying to hip hop and rap. I'm not there. It's
their time. I mean, it's like my thing is with me is that I miss that era of, I wasn't a musician. I was, through the 70s, there was a lot going on that I was kind of in the background watching as a kid, and then, but I noticed that now I guess what I'm trying to say is I got my musical influences from my sister. Remember the movie Almost Famous?
Yes.
Where the sister gives the kid all her albums when she leaves home? Exact same thing happened to me. My sister just gave me a bunch of albums. She moved out, and so I'm locked in her era.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just a kind of a classic rock retro guy. I just love it. And yeah, well, you are, because you were part of that history.
Yes,
So I can see that, But guys like you who lived that L.A. music scene, or even the East Coast music scene at the perfect time, there'll never be music like that again.
No, I know. It was amazing. 1967, 68, 69.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you even look back now and you just listen to that stuff, and it's just like, people ask me. Well, the funny thing is, I was at a skateboard park a couple years ago, right after COVID, and they finally opened up skateboard parks. And I'm walking by one with a friend, and I'm looking at these amazing kids doing these skateboard stunts. I'm going, man, I'm glad to see kids back out there doing that. And one kid he was 9 or 10, I think, and he had a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon shirt. And I kind of went, where'd he find that? And I said, hey, do you even know that band? He looked at me so disgusted. Of course I know, man. David Gilmour, dude. And I just went, wow. So this music is going to be around forever, because every generation keeps picking up on it. You see these videos of 8-year-old Japanese girls playing drums, playing to John Bonham and
exactly.
Zeppelin. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's astonishing.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's astonishing. There's so many. I mean, I don't want to bug you in the whole interview, but I'm going to anyway.
Sure.
If you don't mind just kind of reminiscing a bit about the stuff that's in the book, that just cool things that happened to you. Just give us some stories. I love anecdotal sort of interviews. So, pick some favorites.
It's really great because my friend Craig Cramph, he's got 70 platinum albums that he's played on.
Right.
He's played on everybody's hit record. He's like an incredible drummer. He played with me with Flo and Eddie and the Turtles. We recorded the Moving Targets and Illegal, Immoral, and Fattening albums. Anyhow, he calls me up one day and he says, we got a gig with Little Richard. We're leaving tomorrow morning for Hershey, Pennsylvania. Pack your bags. I'll pick you up. So here I am at Hershey, Pennsylvania. No rehearsal.
Right.
Never met him. Never met Little Richard. The band, we already knew all the songs. If you don't know all of Little Richard's hits, you got to know Good Golly and Rip It Up and everything. So he comes out on stage, and I was completely blown away. I was playing the Hammond B3. He's jumping around on the stage. He jumps on top of the Hammond I'm looking up at him, and he's dripping sweat all over me. You know, it was the most amazing thing in my life.
Right.
Most amazing. Then later on, I worked with him for 2.5 years. We toured Australia and all that. Then his partner, Bumps Blackwell, who wrote Tutti Frutti and Good Golly and all the songs, he co-wrote with Little Richard. Mm-hmm. So Bumps says, we're going to do the Grammys. They want Little Richard and Chuck Berry to do the Grammys for the best best R&B single. And so I went there, got on my tuxedo with the band, and the rehearsal was in a back room on an upright piano, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and me. That was it.
Wow.
That was the full rehearsal.
Wow.
So I was supposed to chart out what the songs were, you know, for the band.
Right.
So Chuck is doing Johnny Be Good. And I said, what key? And he says, I don't know, somewhere around here. It turned out to be a B flat.
Oh, right.
But it's really, you know, just being in the room and working with Little Richard and Chuck Berry right next to him. That was like,
you see, you've got a lot of people talk about luck, and I just don't believe in that word. I think you've had some opportunities, but you were prepared for the opportunities. And I think that's what luck is. If you couldn't play Johnny Be Good and B flat, there'd be no opportunity there. You'd look like an idiot. Instead, you have a story now where you were playing, you know.
It's just so amazing. And the videos from that show were amazing. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Richard's mic went out while he's singing Tutti Frutti, so you don't hear shit. And then Chuck Berry's mic goes out while he's doing another song. But we finagled, and as music director, I was looking around. The drummer's up, elevated behind me.
Right.
The guitar player's over there. The trumpet player's over there. The bass players, they were all scattered.
Right.
So there was no visual contact on intros and outros.
Wow.
So it was a bitch.
Yeah.
But we got through it, and
well, again, you were prepared. You know, I mean, yeah, that's a pain in the ass, but you didn't fold. You played the songs.
We played them, and I sat right next to. My brain doesn't work sometimes.
It's okay. I'll find it in the
Gladys
book.
Knight. I sat next to Gladys Knight. Mm-hmm. Andy Williams was the MC, so I told him how much I loved Can't Get Used to Losing You. Yeah. And I met Paul Simon, and I met tons of people there. It was totally incredible.
Just making my way through your history, like online, and I'm just going, wow, I knew Andy had done some stuff, but you're sort of, well, like the title of your book.
Yeah,
greatest musician.
I was there with everybody and hanging out and playing and doing, but nobody really knew who I was.
But there's a lot of, you think about, what's her name, the bass player? Here I go.
Carol Kay.
Carol Kay, that's right. And she played on everything.
Everything.
Great bass player, and people don't know her name to this day, and I think it's crazy. Speaking of Carol Kay and speaking of musicians in the LA music scene who are maybe unsung, but what was when we were talking about when the music kind of started to shift into more of a psychedelia thing between 66, 67 and onwards, do you remember when Pet Sounds came out, the Beach Boy album?
It was unbelievable.
Right. I mean, it influenced everybody instantly.
Totally.
And were you in LA at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. You must have been running into people who, I don't know, you had said something on an interview I read where you have this ability to see greatness. Like in Amadeus, that movie, Salieri is the unsung guy.
Great movie.
His greatest gift is recognizing genius.
Yes.
And I thought, well, Andy kind of said that he knew people were going to be big, but you were doing great stuff yourself. You're a very humble guy,
Thank you.
I think you're just, the fact that you don't blow your own horn a lot, I think is actually not good. I think you should be out there a lot more.
Yeah. My book is like a history book.
Right.
I never liked to read when I was in school. I always loved to look at pictures.
Right.
So I built my book based on that.
Right.
A lot of photos.
Right.
And I did a lot of scanning of posters and flyers and contracts and letters. And
It's like somebody had said it's like a scrapbook.
It is. It's a rock and roll scrapbook.
That's great. That's awesome.
And it's really great because I have pictures nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah.
Of all these great celebrities.
Yeah, it's amazing also when you get guys like me, when I get to work with, I was talking about, Brian and working with Roger from Queen. And
my God.
Working with, knowing people like P.J. Olson and Alan Parsons, things like that. But I had to get into kind of the music, the film industry before I got to meet these people. But even back when we, in the 90s, when thanks to our mutual friend Laurel Parton, her mom was very instrumental in my getting band getting a recording deal with A&M.
That's wonderful.
And we did our first publicity photos on top of Amoeba Records in Hollywood. With Ed Glover, who had done the Pearl album and all these, big rock photographer.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, people don't even appreciate this. I mean, what the hell is going on? But it's when I started reading about you, and Laurel had told me a couple things about your career, and I go, wow. Then you and I had lunch at the Mexican restaurant one time.
Yeah.
And I went, man, Andy's got some interesting stuff. Who is this guy? And I felt stupid that I didn't know more about you. But it's the same with, I've met guys like Russ Kunkel and and Lee Sklar. All these guys people don't know who they are, but you've become that for me. I'm starting to go, wow, I have another hero of mine who's kind of nobody really. You're almost like a really well kept secret, And I'd like to change that. I don't want you to be a secret.
Yeah, in 1968, my friend Tom Levy, a bass player, got Russ Kunkel to come over to my living room.
Wow.
And I had my Baldwin electric harpsichord with the Leslie, and we cut some demos of original songs, which was really wonderful.
Sorry about that, guys. I actually make people turn their phones off. And then I forgot myself this time. Okay, so I'm going to do that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm going to do that now. So my phone never goes off. I always tell everybody, turn your phone off for the podcast, and then I just forgot. But see, Andy, that's the effect you have, man. I was so anxious for you to get in here in the studio to talk about this stuff that I forgot to turn my phone off. So I blame you.
What's really great about LP is that I sent her a cold Facebook
Laurel Parton
message.
Right.
And I said, my name is Andy Cahan. I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I got a book, blah, blah, blah. And she says, I live in Nashville, but I'm coming out to L.A. Mm-hmm. So we'll meet and you can sell me the book. So she came out to this gig I played at the Tack Room Tavern in Indio. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there talking. I show her the book, and she noticed Ezra Mohawk.
Ah. Who she knew very well.
She took care of Ezra when she was passing.
Right.
And
another artist that's not as well known as she should be.
So Ezra was with Frank Zappa. Mm-hmm. She was Uncle Meat.
Right.
And so I got to meet Ezra, and I fell madly in love with her. She sat down next to me and played me one of her songs from her primordial. How do you pronounce it? Whatever her name, whatever the album was.
Right.
And I was goosebumps and crying, and I was freaking out. She was so great.
Yeah.
She was just amazing.
Yeah, another one of those persons. You wonder what stops somebody's career from becoming huge. You just don't know. Like actors, you'll see an actor who gets an Academy Award. And all of a sudden, 3 years later, you never hear from him again.
It's just strange. It's a strange business. You got to always keep on top of it.
Yeah, and some people just aren't. They're not set up to be their own PR. They're set up to be talented artists.
That's been my whole life is self-PR.
Yeah.
I do it all myself.
One picture I saw of you and the great Jimmy Webb and Linda Ronstadt and I think Harry
And
Nilsson.
Harry.
Yeah, he was in that photo. That was. And what was your? That I'll go back to that California sound, Southern California vibe of the '70s, and that picture intrigued me because I look at this. Andy's standing here in the midst of the royalty of California rock in the '70s.
Unbelievable.
And how did that stuff? How did you feel when that kind of thing would happen to you, where you'd be all of a sudden you're in the midst of greatness like that?
Well, Harry and I recorded 35 songs
Right.
in my living room.
Right. if you need a drink, go ahead.
And he loved Jimmy Webb.
Right.
And there was a song Jimmy Webb wrote called "What Does a Woman See in a Man?"
Mm-hmm.
So Harry wanted to record it. So we go in the car, we go to Record One Studios in Studio City.
Mm-hmm.
Linda Ronstadt is producing Jimmy Webb.
Oh, wow.
With another guy.
Right.
I forgot the name of the album. It's in my book. And so Harry and I kidnapped Jimmy Webb from that recording session,
Right.
took him back to my living room, and forced him to play my synthesizer plastic keyboard. And he's a grand piano guy.
Right.
You need the weighted keys.
Sure, yeah.
But he was really upset. He didn't want to do it. He says, I can't play this. It's just junk, you know.
Yeah.
But he did. We finally got him, and he played the piano part. Then we drove him back to this Linda Ronstadt to the studio so he can finish.
Right.
And then Harry and I came back and
It's funny because
recorded
I didn't even know.
the song.
I didn't even know that Linda Ronstadt produced this.
Yeah, she
That's
produced
amazing.
that song. It's in my book, all
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
details.
Yeah.
Some things I can't remember.
Again, you've become this thing for me. Like I was telling about when I worked with Jack Green and Clint Eastwood cinematographer. I'm following him around. I love doing just stories. You know, it kind of not quite like you were there, but it's the closest you're going to get. You know.
Well, I played piano at Clint Eastwood's Hog's Breath Inn for 9 years.
Is that right?
In La Quinta. And I met Clint several times.
Did he play there a lot himself?
Oh, no, but he when I did meet him, he was sitting at the bar and looking at me, and he'd go like this, you know, pretending he was a piano player.
Yeah.
But he is a piano player,
he's a
and he
great
does
piano
play
player.
flute and something else.
Yeah, he's a big jazz cat.
Yeah, real big jazz.
People don't know that about
That's
him.
why he made that movie with the black guy. I forgot the name of the movie. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, that was his first big directing film. What was that? Oh, no, you're talking about the other one. You're talking about with...
the saxophone guy.
Yeah. What
The
was
black
the
guy.
Bird? It was called Bird.
That's
yeah.
it, Bird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's...
What's his name? Forrest.
Forrest. What is his name?
Forrest.
Oh, we'll think about it.
Yeah.
It'll come to us. Big actor. None of us is getting any younger, so nothing stays in my brain.
Yeah, my memory sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah. So, is it Whitaker? Is that Forrest Whitaker?
Forrest Whitaker.
That's right, yeah.
Yes. You remembered.
He's yeah. Anyway, playing now. You're doing a lot of club gigs, and what is that like? I mean, you're so used to playing big venues and doing a lot of TV, and now, you're not alone. There's a lot of really amazing musicians who are now quite satisfied to go to small clubs. Les Paul in his last years, had a Thursday night regular gig at just this little club, and people would come in and have no idea that was the real Les Paul. You know?
I really am good in a restaurant environment.
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah, a background piano. And I don't sing. I'm just instrumental, but I play all the great 60s.
Yeah.
Beatles, Stones, all the... Yeah, that's what I play, is all the British invasion.
Right.
And everybody's just, singing along and having fun. And
what were some of your favorite songs that you recorded and played on?
Oh, okay. On the Moving Targets album by Flo and Eddie from Columbia, there was a song called Keep It Warm. Mm-hmm. And it was very, very, very popular. Every time we did a concert and I'd start that piano part, the whole place would cheer.
Right.
That was really good. And there was another song called Best Possible Me, all piano. And the Alan McMillan arranger, he did all the string and horn parts based on my piano part,
Right.
which was a compliment. It was made me feel really good that all those arrangements were directly from my piano part. So that was cool.
I wanted to ask you something. I'm very much on looking for new artists who I like because it's hard. It's really, I go online and I look for new bands or new artists that I can really relate to. Brand new music, and a lot of these people very young. You know, I found a band called the Wallow Hollows, and now they're going to be adding music to my new film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just kind of, they're kind of like the Allman Brothers meets. It's just that, you know, Eddie Vedder's solo stuff from the 90s. That's where they're at, and I love their sound. Do you, and we were talking about the 8-year-old Japanese girl who plays drums like John Bonham, and do you see stuff online that just really catches you and you become a fan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of girl drummers.
Right. And guitar players.
And guitar players.
Yeah.
There's this one guitar player girl that always does all these famous guitar licks.
Yeah.
And that's it. She just does the lick and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely amazing that these young kids are playing
I follow a
stuff.
a 12-year-old named Ellen, and I can't pronounce her last name. She's a bass player. She's phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
And she knows all the Metallica stuff. She goes way back to Sly and the Family Stone, and she's just always playing different. And she's a phenomenal bassist.
Tal Wakenfield.
Yeah.
From Australia.
Yeah.
Or New Zealand, one of those.
But there's some kids out there that I'm noticing a lot of young ladies too. A lot of girls in their teens or just turned 20, and they're just shredders. They're amazing. But
It really is.
They also understand the guitar, or they understand the drums, and female drummers are just everywhere now, and they're just
I
good.
love it.
Yeah, just fantastic.
I love it.
So we know, I see band like there's two, I think they're Filipino kids, a brother and sister who play guitar and bass, and they are phenomenal. And I go, well, you know, rock and roll's in good hands. It's going to skip a generation of all the crapola that's out there now.
Yeah.
But when in another 5 years or so, these kids are going to start coming up, and we're going to start seeing a resurgence in rock and roll.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. And vinyl is still popular.
I have a lot of vinyl, and like I said, my band, we just finished our new album, and we're going to press it on vinyl. And again, it's a funny thing. It's not really an analog recording. We did it all digitally, but just to have that
on vinyl.
Just to have it and hold it and look at the artwork, you know.
I had a record company in my living room called Panda Records.
Is that right?
And what I did is I knew all the original members of the Mothers of Invention.
Right.
You know, like Don Preston, Elliot Ingberg, Jimmy Carl Black, Bunk Gardner, Buzz Gardner, Ruth Underwood, Ian Underwood, Artie Tripp, just all these original guys.
Right.
So I went to all their homes, and I got recordings of songs they wrote without Frank Zappa, and I went to Rhino Records, and they released the Grandmothers, all the original members of the Mothers.
Right.
And so that was really exciting. And so I built my own record company, and I put out a square white vinyl album called the Official Grandmothers Fan Club Record.
Square, you mean the vinyl was square? Or
the album was square.
Wow.
It was a square record, white vinyl.
How'd that work?
It works. It works. You put it works.
Right.
And it was all the original members of the Mothers of Invention talking about what it was like working with Frank. It was a dialogue album.
Right.
Then I put out an album by The Leaves called Hey Joe.
Mm-hmm.
The Leaves did, and I put out a green vinyl leaf-shaped picture disc.
Right.
So it was green vinyl like a leaf, and it looked like a leaf. And I had a picture of the leaves.
Mm.
And then I put out an album called The Leaves 1966.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all collector stuff.
Right.
So and I also put out my own stuff called Panda, and it was die-cut picture disc of a panda with a yo-yo.
Oh, wow.
So it was just fun having my own record company in my living room, and I would sell 10, 20,000 records out of my living room.
Right.
So that was...
Got a weird buzz. Do you hear that?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know what that is. Something's going off. Oh, well. I think we're about to wrap up anyway.
Okay.
But... Andy, I'm so excited to have you as a friend now, and to get to know you better. I'm just really excited to know you. It's fun.
I'm knocked out by your film career.
Well,
that's so awesome that you're making those movies.
We're all just keeping going. That's all you can do.
Because that's what I did when I was 14 years old. I made all these 8mm color
Right,
sound
you were telling me about
monster movies.
Yeah, that's great.
And they're all up on YouTube.
That's great. I'm going to look for them. That's really good. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Stephen Savage Show. But before we let you go, Andy, tell us where we can find out more about you and what you're up to and how to grab a copy of your book. Is the website the best place to find you? Or
yeah, it's really easy. If you Google the most famous musician you've never heard of, I'll pop right up. Or you can Google my name, Andy Cahan, and it's spelled Cahan. Right. And it'll pop right up, and then you can...
It's on Amazon. Your book's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Good, yeah. And you're going to be doing, because we like to go local for this podcast, because Idlewild is our home, and we are only a couple hours from L.A., so it's a lot of Los Angeles people come up. But you're doing a book signing at Hunky Dory Records in downtown Idlewild.
Yes, October 11.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Will people be able to buy the book there while you're there?
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah,
anything you want to add? I'm happy to have you talk.
Well, I'm just really glad I'm here, and I want to thank Laurel Parton very much for introducing us.
Yeah, she's great,
and she's got a new video out that's
she's doing
she's
some
got some
stuff.
Great stuff.
Yeah, she's moving along too, and I think we're all pretty lucky to have her as a friend.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Well, there you go. Another edition of the Stephen Savage Show in the can. I want to thank everybody for listening in and for spreading the word about the show, which has been vital to increasing our listenership. We're into the thousands and thousands now, so I'm happy about that. And we at the Savage Podcasting Network truly appreciate it. And I want to thank everybody on the Savage Podcasting Network team. Nicole Hughes, our producer, Steve Tuma, our executive producer, and Marie Sudo, our editor as well. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and really wherever you find your favorite podcasts. So for Andy Cahan and myself, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Andy.
You're totally welcome, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thanks.